Hey, Storm fans. I usually say this, but this time I mean it twice as much. I have a treat for you today. We are playing one of the oldest combo decks in Legacy, Solidarity, aka High Tide Storm. Solidarity is specifically the High Tide variant that wins on the opponent's turn using the card Reset. This deck was tier 1 the first few years of the format. So from like 2004 to 2007, there were legends such as Michael Herbig and David Gearhart that championed this deck to many dual land drafts. That's what we had back in the day. And this deck was just terrific. Part of the reason why is that in a format defined by Wasteland and Rishadan at the time out of Goblins, Solidarity had tons of basic lands, and if your opponent tried to port you, you know, you had more lands, but also you could, brainstorm or opt, and then on your opponent's turn, uh, island reset, whatever. High tide reset, my bad. But this deck was legendary. I have some experience playing it. It wasn't my preferred deck at the time, but I've probably played 50, 60 matches of it in my life, maybe more. But yeah, so thank you to who donated this, Ryan Romanek. Ryan, thank you. I know that Ryan comments on the YouTube channel all the time, so Ryan, thank you. I do appreciate your contribution to this channel. So Ryan submitted a deck list, and I made a few adjustments. So I shaved an island for an extra fetch land. Basically, I just want to make sure for Brainstorm that we have enough. And I don't feel like we need that many islands in the deck. And I cut the second copy of Mystic Sanctuary. You don't really want to draw it. And I don't see myself ever needing more than one. I could be wrong. But I just really value the extra fetch land. And, not losing to Wasteland. 2 just seems like you're really gearing up for these long drawn out battles. And I don't think that's what our deck wants. So most of this is Ryan's list. I did add a second turnabout over a spice card that Ryan included, Narset's Reversal. I've played Narset's Reversal in Pioneer, and even there, I don't think it's very good. It's really cute, and that's sort of not what we're looking to do. So I did want a second copy of Turnabout, so that way we're less reliant on Reset. But the big upgrade that Ryan included in this deck is Mission Briefing. This card was originally championed by Anurag Das in Miracles in 2018, and now we're seeing it here in Solidarity. I think that this is the perfect home because it allows you to cast AKs out of your graveyard. You can mill 2 cards for Brainstorm, which is really nice. Yeah. Like, this deck is near and dear to my heart. I truly love this deck. It's really sweet. In the sideboard, Ryan had a bunch of fun wish targets, a Trick Bind, a Rebuild, some other stuff. I sort of shaved those down because a lot of, like, a Repeal was in there too. A lot of it felt like it was redundant. And honestly, between Echoing Truth and Hercules, you cover a lot of this. Ryan didn't have Snap. Snap is a card you definitely want in this deck. Bouncing a Meddling Mage or something else and then continuing to win has a lot of value in my opinion. And the fact that it's an untap effect is just chef's kiss. It's so good. And then we're adding in an extra Graveyard Hate spell or 2 in Surgical Extraction. Thing in the Ice can come in against aggro decks like Goblins or Death and Taxes, because they're definitely boarding out their swords. So it gives you a little bit of versatility as well. That's what I have to say about this deck. Once again, Ryan, thank you. You're awesome, and I do appreciate. I can't talk right now. I can appreciate your contribution. I'm not even going to try to finish that sentence anymore. Please forgive me. Yeah, I can't even complain. It's currently 2 p.m. Like, I've been awake for 4 or 5 hours, and I'm still, sluggish. All right, so time to chill. If you want to see your deck here, you can go to theepicstorm.com/donation-decks. There you can choose from 3 different tiers. The base tier is I'm going to play your exact 75 and then make suggestions after. This is the super tier where I work with you to make the deck better. You get a discount from theepicstorm.com on merchandise. And then after the league, I'll provide a secondary set of suggestions based on the games played. But I work with you a little bit closer on this tier. Really figure out some of these deck details, eliminate some of the redundancy that you may or may not need. And then there's the Epic tier. I'm not going to go through all that. You can read that at the website URL, theepicstorm.com/donation-decks. I'm just interested in starting to play some Legacy. That's what I'm going to do today. Maybe if this league goes well, I'll do a second donation deck today. But stick around. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm really excited. Round one. Solidarity time. Let's cast some tides. We're on the play. Let's do it. So this hand is okay. My fear is that it's a little bit weak, but we have land drops, and we actually need those to win. So this is a deck where, like Ant, you don't want a mulligan. You sort of just want to do what you can, keep as many hands that are playable as possible. So here we're looking to brainstorm, fetch away the brain freeze. All right, so Slay It with Roses. What are you on? I don't know why, but those are the AKs that are in my collection. I probably should have bought Nemesis ones. Is this Moon Stompy? That card does nothing. I guess your name being Bryant Cook does have some benefits. Nice Chalice Zero. Alright, so they're looking to kill us pretty quickly here. This is, pretty aggressive. I think they're swinging for lethal next turn. So that's 8. Yeah, they definitely have lethal next turn. So we might just be dead, unless this is a really good brainstorm. And it was not. I don't think we can win. Yeah, unfortunately, this game, they just opened on a really aggressive draw. And we've got nothing, so we're dead. If we had a high tide there off that second brainstorm, we could have tried. I think this is like 14 damage if I had to guess. $16. Okay. So that obviously did not go well. But this is one of those matchups where we can board anything in the ice and slow them down. And these flusters are actually just dead magic cards, so it's nice to have something like Thing in the Ice to bring in that slot. Wonder if you can like board out Sanctuary. Like I just don't see that being a card that matters in this sort of matchup. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. I'm gonna board out Sanctuary. Seems great. Alright, so a little bit worried about Chalice with this hand because we don't have a force. We can still cast spells into Chalice, they just don't resolve. And there it is. Okay, we can get rid of... Let's not show them opt. Would have liked to find a third land there as well. That's unfortunate. Hey, how about that? We do have Cunning Wish for Hercules, but we would have to draw Cunning Wish. That's bad news. Looks like we were just getting moon stomped. Yeah, I'll just take a draw. Oh, I was supposed to fetch. Ah, oh, that was my own fault. That was just dumb. uh, Alright, so taking 5 here. I think we're just dead. Even if I draw Cunning Wish off this AK, I don't know if we have enough. Oh, there's the Wish. Like, we just don't have enough time. Okay, so that match obviously didn't go that well, but maybe we'll get the next few. Sorry that was not so great. Uh, yeah, next match will be coming up in a second. Okay, we're gonna do better this round, or at least I hope so. We're on the draw against Bob Buttons, and this seems like a reasonable hand to me. Although I'd like to open up that high tide card every once in a while. It's pretty, important for our strategy. But let's see what Bobby Buttons is up to. If I had to guess, this is probably Sneak and Show. Doomsday can't afford to play Flooded Strand, and Ant doesn't play it, so Flooded Strand into Petal is a dead giveaway for Sneak and Show. Could be Omni, but like they're the same deck. It's worth noting that you cannot brain freeze out Sneak and Show due to Emrakul. So Loose on Zenith becomes the win con. I probably should have played an island right there. That was a small mistake. Because now if I play AK, I don't have a shuffle effect, so I'm actually just going to wait a turn to AK. And one thing that I do like about extra fetch lands in these sort of decks is that you're removing islands that you can possibly draw with AKs and meditates. I'm going to AK in a Fluster. There's that Tide card. They have their own fluster. They do. So I'm going to force pitching meditate, and hopefully that will get the job done. Opponent's thinking pretty hard on this last Fluster Storm. I don't think it matters. One of the nice things back then about High Tide, back in like the 2004 to 2007 era, is that Tide was a tier 1 deck that didn't require duels. And I mean, I understand that the price differences now are pretty wild, but back then you could build a legacy deck for $200 was expensive. So the fact that you could build Solidarity and it would cost like maybe 80 or 90 was pretty nice. Wow. All right. Ugh. Gross. I feel like I'm letting down Ryan. So I think our game plan here is hope that they try to play Sneak Attack and Namorkul and then kill them after they've tapped a bunch of mana. Alright, so do I want anything on top? I probably could have played that a little bit better because I could have played Tide into Meditate with. No, I guess that doesn't work. Come on, just let it resolve. There we go. Come on, meditate. Okay, that wasn't completely awful. So The question is whether or not we get Blue Sun Zenith or if we get the other Meditate in the board. Alright, so we have a total of 10 mana. I think you're just supposed to get Meditate. Like, I don't think we can afford to Blue Sun here. There we go. Now we're going to give Reset Flashback. Is Cunning Wish good here? I just want to think about this. I think it is, because we can use it to go get Turnabout. But if we play... Never mind. It's good. Because we're getting Blue Sun Zenith, which is our win con. It's both an engine and a win con for us. Alright, let the party start. Yeah, let's leave some mana open. So, alright, I'm going to play it safe. I think if we got this far, they probably don't have anything. But never mind. I'm just going to do it. If they have double counter for these, so be it. Alright, and now we get to party. As if we weren't partying already. I guess maybe I shouldn't tab all these yet. The interaction between mission briefing and brainstorm is just really nice. And we'll just target Meditate. Alright, this is sweet. I'm enjoying this. All Alright, so now we just have to find the blue sun. Just for good measure, we'll untap some more mana. I don't know if I've ever had more than 100 blue mana on Moto before. Maybe in Cube, but I'm not sure if people normally let me get that far. I can't believe we won this game. Like, I thought for sure we were goners. We just need to make our opponent draw more than 18 cards. $26 seems like a good number. Woo! Woo! Hope you enjoyed that, Ryan. That was certainly great to make up for our round one. I don't know if we're supposed to board in it. Like, I feel like we might be pre-boarded here. Like, in theory, you could board in Fluster because you have the Force of Negation in the board. I think I'm just going to leave it as is. And if you want to support this content, you can always go to theepicstorm.com/shop. Right now is a great time to get a baseball tee. The weather's warming up and it's perfect for summer. Highly recommend that. But if you already have one, I would recommend checking out the Epic Storm Pint Glass. All right, game two. We're on the draw. This seems like a keep to me. Hopefully we can recreate some of that magic we had in game one. I'm embarrassed that I don't own better AKs. Like, it just added these into the deck. I guess I bought these at some point, but I think I might need to rectify this and go get the Nemesis ones after this league. I like Opt here as a draw. It gives me something to do on turn one. Helps us sculpt a little bit. Because I wasn't going to cast the Brainstorm anyway. Because I really want to pair that with the Fetch. Ooh. And something I like about Ryan's build is that Ryan included 4 copies of AK. And traditionally, when you look at older lists of Solidarity, you find a lot of stuff like Predict that requires setup, or you'll see like things like, what was it called? I forget. It has Flashback. It's like Insight, I want to say, but it like effectively is an impulse. I can like picture the art too. It's from Judgment. It's an uncommon. Oh well. I'm done with this now. So our Brainstorm got Spell Pierce. That's fine. Really need to hit a land here, so I think I'm going to Impulse. Ooh, that actually kind of hurt, but good thing the land we found was a Fetch. Because putting both those resets in the bottom is a little bit backbreaking. Our shields are down, so if they have it, we're in trouble. Don't really have much of a choice based on what we drew. Like, I didn't think that our brainstorm was going to be countered there. And even if it resolved, it looks like we weren't going to hit a force anyway. And it looks like they might be going for it. Or is this just a sneak attack? Nope, it looks like a sneak attack into a creature. It's weird when you're rooting for Gristlebrand. Okay, they got us. We'll go to game 3. So that did not work. Am I supposed to be boarding in the Fluster? Like, technically, we could take out these impulses. Or maybe even the freeze, because the freeze isn't reliable. Like, this isn't a real win con. But it does keep us open from, like, losing to surgical. So I think we can probably board out Brain Freeze. It's just a dead card. So that can become Fluster. And then it becomes, do you want to board in Force Negation or keep it as a Cunning Wish target? And I think I'm going to leave it as is. Okay. Sand needs a little bit of work, but maybe we'll be able to live long enough. One of the pitfalls of Solidarity as an archetype is that it doesn't need to buy time. Like, how you win is using lands. So, theoretically, with, like, the absolute best 7 possible, you can win on turn 2. But realistically, it's a turn 4 or 5 deck. They shuffled off the Ponderer. Okay, well, Meditate was not the best draw. We really need lands and High Tide and more counter magic. We cannot fluster that. Last game they used Sneak Attack, which we can't fluster. This game they used Artisan. We didn't have fluster last game, but this game we did, and then another target that we cannot fluster. Need this brainstorm to hit. Probably have to put back the briefing. We're just in a lot of trouble here. Interesting. I mean, am I supposed to take the mission briefing? We need a High Tide. I don't think I need reset number 3. Oh no. That's an Emrakul. So we can attempt to go off of back in 2004 or 2007, people called low tide, which is coming off without high tide. Usually you'd want more lands for that because right now each reset only adds 1 land or 1 mana. So I think that we're pretty unlikely to win. Oh no, I was supposed to float mana there. That was just dumb. Geez. I'm just going to concede. We weren't going to win anyway. Let's take a few draws. Yeah. Alright, so we're Ochu. Let's try to win a couple. We're going to bounce back, I promise. Stick around. Okay. Round number 3. Sure. I mean, it's land and spells. Like, it's just tough to mulligan, but every hand that you don't open with multiple land drops and high tide, it's just like it feels bad. So right now we're leaning pretty heavy on Brainstorm. It looks like we're likely facing Delver. I imagine Delver's probably a tough matchup. And I'm actually going to play out the fetch here, so that way I can avoid Stifle a little bit. Might seem weird that I'm putting back Brainstorm. Um, I'm trying to actively avoid getting my land stifled, which is just one way to lose this. So Brainstorm's best when you pair it with fetch lands. I'm just trying to avoid all of that. And Cutting Wish is just a little bit clunky. Interesting. Maybe they're on Omni? I did shuffle, for what it's worth. Let's just pass. Again, in Brainstorm and then Impulse on their turn. Part of me wonders if like this deck is supposed to just have 4 copies of Impulse. That way you have your best odds of digging for High Tide. I feel like the games we've lost are because we don't find Tide, and Impulse just is the best at digging for them. So maybe some of these like utility slots in the deck should just be more copies of Impulse. Let's find Force. Well, that was a disaster. I was not expecting Hull Breacher there. Jeez. A weakness of Thing in the Ice here is that our opponent has Pyroblast, so maybe Thing isn't so great. I think I'm just going to resubmit. I don't even know if that's a punt on my part. Like, are you supposed to expect to get Hull Breachered in game 1? I don't know. It seems a little bit wild to me. But I guess I could have read the fact that they were not a Delver deck based on the Sylvan Library, but that's not even always true anymore. I don't know. Also, like, it didn't matter if they played Breacher there or later. Like, Solidarity just can't beat that card. And here we open up Tide and Reset, but only 1 land. I think we have to ship this. Alright, so we're down to 5. I think we're supposed to just bottom like Brain Freeze and Opt. Like, the only way we win this game is if we somehow battle back, and part of doing that is like resolving multiple AKs. I wonder if like if you were trying to make Solidarity as competitive as possible, um, if maybe you could actually run more copies of Snap in the board, so that way you can board them in against decks that are creature decks or even control decks to bounce like Meddling Mage and stuff. I don't know how crazy that is, but it's just a thought. Like bounce a Meddling Mage or bounce, you know, a Hull Breach or whatever. If they counter this impulse, I'm actually fine with drawing a land on top. So that's not like the end of the world for me. And it looks like this is just like a rug control deck. It's close. Okay. Need lands and counter magic now. Not really sure what our game plan is here. I did know that I want land 5. Um, but after that, who knows? I think we might want to try killing them once they tap out for Uro. Or right now. Yeah, I think like so far in this league, we're just seeing a little bit of the demise of High Tide. Is that there's a lot more just like natural predator cards out there. Like Narset, Leovold, Hull Breacher, on top of like other things. Like this deck just uh, hasn't aged super well. And we know that this meditate, even if it resolves, we're drawing one blank. Impulse can theoretically chain, but ugh. Come on, world's best brainstorm. Almost got there. Did they really wait for me to try to counter Nursa? Oh, they have Veil of Summer. That's another card. Jeez. Yeah. So we're 0-3. Veil's another card that just blows this deck out. That wasn't even on my radar. Yeah. So unfortunately we're 0-3. Um, maybe we'll win one. All right, round four. We're facing the big empty 92. Are they playing empty the Warrens? I would like to find out. For once, we've opened up lands and high tides. So that's a good sign. This seems fine to me. Okay. I have a feeling that this Fluster Storm is not going to be very good. Back in 2012, my friend Colin top eighted a Grand Prix playing Spiral Tide, which is the sorcery speed version of this deck, and won his win in against Death and Taxes, or maybe it was Maverick at the time, but beating a Thalia on board. All right, so I think I'm just gonna AK here, and Thalia resolves. So I think the plan now is to like Cunning Wish or Snap. Theoretically, we could just draw another High Tide, which would do something similar. I think I want the land. Yeah, let's take those Thalia beats. I can't but wonder if maybe I'm supposed to meditate just to draw four. Like, that doesn't seem like the worst idea right now. Yeah, and like Deafening Silence is another card that just crushes this deck. So maybe instead of the thing in the ice in the board, there should just be like a bunch of like Echoing Truths. If like you really wanted to play this deck, maybe you just run like 4 Echoing Truth on the board or something. So we have Double Tide now. We need an untap effect. Little did they know, my plan was never to remove the Thalia. It was always to kill them. But, right now we're taking 6 damage, which means that on our next turn we need to win, which means you really want to draw a reset right now. That's by far our best draw. Turnabout might be good enough. I haven't done the math, but hopefully it is. So I just want to think about this for a second. So the first High Tide is going to cost 2 islands. The second one will cost 1. I think that the math checks out here. Alright, now we can meditate. Let's meditate again. This time I tap my lands before I attempted to cast Reset. That's always nice. Nice Thalia. Mission Briefing's so good in this deck. Alright, and now we can Mission Briefing, get rid of those lands. Do Turnabout. Sorry if this seems boring to watch, but I'm enjoying myself. We finally get to win. I'm going to enjoy it a little bit. Alright, so getting rid of these lands. I think our islands need to make more mana. Okay. Do we have any more mission briefings? It doesn't look like it. Let's brain freeze them. Alright, they've seen enough. So we've taken game number 1. Now we go into game 2 where our opponent gets Deafening Silence, so that's kind of an issue. But these Thing in the Ice seem pretty good against Thalia and company. The Flusters can go. And I think I'm going to get rid of the Sanctuary. It's just not one of the matchups where you want it. But I think I'd almost rather just be playing like triple Echoing Truth on the board instead. Or like, I don't know. Like, I think Thing in the Ice, while it seems cute, and I was like, hey, we're a spell-based deck, excuse me, we can use Thing in the Ice. It's better to just have answers to like Deafening Silence and Chalice, so that might have been an oversight on my part. And that was a change that I made to Ryan's list, so it's probably my fault. Ryan had a bunch of like 1 rebuild, 1 repeal, that sort of stuff. I wouldn't do that because I think that's a little too cute, but maybe my suggestion was bad. And I don't think we can keep this. I mean, it has force, but I just think it just might be too reactive. I've kept 7. Screw it. Leyline of the Void. What? Was it Maverick the whole time? I don't even know what to believe anymore. Sure. I can't believe that wasn't Death and Taxes. Like, I'm just a little flabbergasted at the moment. These mission briefings are good exile cards for Force of Will. They pretty much do nothing. I don't think that does anything either, sure. Yeah, I'll take it. So on our turn, we're going to be... Oh, we drew the fetch land. I was going to say, we're going to cast Brainstorm looking for a fetch land. Get rid of these mission briefings. Wow. We could try to kill our opponent here. Never mind, we don't have a draw spell. My bad. If we had a draw spell, we could try. So Cunning Wish, Meditate. Those are really what we're looking for. Sure. I'm actually not too concerned with beating Choke. Another Force. I just want to draw Meditate and or Cunning Wish. It has to be our next draw step too. Alright, so they're pumping up their Hex Drinker. I don't think they're getting to lethal this way. I wonder if they're holding open Pyroblast with those Groves. That could be the case. Alright, we have to draw action here. Womp womp. Like, in theory, I could try to, like, turn about their creatures. I'm just not going to deal with that. We're just going to go to game 3 instead. And I'm going to leave it as is. If you're interested, the Epic Storm has a token pack for $12. You get 54 Storm tokens. You get the entire pack. You get 20 Storm tokens themselves, 10 black, 10 red. I believe it's 6 blue and 3 of the rest. And on the back, you get 54 goblin tokens, 6 of each. And they're mini. They're half the size of a standard Magic the Gathering card. You can get those at theepicstorm.com/shop. All right, game 3, we're on the play. I think we have to ship this. If there's a second land, I keep. Yikes. Maybe double op can save me. It's weird that our opponent boarded in Leyline of the Void versus Solidarity, and it was relevant. It's just like a little bit shocking. Because like we had to get rid of the mission briefings, which would have been action spells. Boom. Technically, Thing in the Ice does allow us to be Deafening Silence. I just don't feel like it's super reliable. I had I had Solidarity in paper when I was like 16-ish, which puts it in line with like 2004, 2005 maybe. And by far the most expensive card in the deck were resets themselves at like $15. I was like, I can get this new video game I want, or I can buy a set of resets. Like, that was the dilemma at the time. Alright, I'll definitely take the other island. So we're looking to fade a card here that I'm not going to say out loud. And there's the Red Elemental Blast. I suspected that they had Blast in their hand with the Groves, the way that they were tapping. But it looks like we did dodge the 3-mana enchantment there that I was looking to. We need to find High Tide. Part of me is wondering if I should just meditate. It opens me up to getting choked is the issue. Taking 5 here, going to 13. Yeah. That's annoying. It's going to make winning next turn really difficult. Yeah. So now we're going to take 7. If our opponent has a Pyroblast, we're just dead. Please resolve. Okay. Think we're doing the low tide. I don't need to do this in blocks. I can let them cast the spell here. Have them up my storm count a little bit. Okay, so why don't we play reset? Let's get back meditate. Putting a lot of stress on this opt. Yes. So technically they could try to get us with like a Veil of Summer. I feel like they would have cast it by now, though. I think I'm just going to get a Meditate. I don't need to get Blues and Zenith. Redraw those lands. And we have Lethal Storm now. I'm just playing spells because I can. Okay. So I think we're skipping like our next like 3 turns. Terravore. That's spicy. Terravore was in the original Agrolome. Deafening Silence is in there. Damping Sphere. Alright, so Thalia's resolved, and now they take their next turn, and we won a match! 1-3. Let's get round number 5. Okay, the final round. No. This was okay. This opponent usually plays lands, if I remember correctly. I could look it up. I'm not going to. I'm just going to bottom this force and hopefully don't get punished. Oh no, I was on the play apparently. I just time walked our opponent. Ugh. That was a mistake. Who needs lands? This would usually mean depths more than lands, but who knows? Alright, so forces a little bit of a insulation against me punting. We can just pass here. If we need to, we could turn about their Merit Lodge, or we can maybe Cunning Wish or Snap. Yes, please. I don't think I want the force. I'm going to fetch it away. Jeez. Get wrecked, opponent. Yeah, you can have your Merit Lodge. Here we go. Alright, so now we have to figure out a good number to Blue Sun Zenith ourselves. Like, is 6 floating enough? Maybe you're supposed to do 7. Screw it. I've already clicked through. And was I punished? No. So let's see if I hit any tides. It looks like no is the answer. Let's flash back a tide. And then another tide. When this deck wins, it's just super fun. Okay, Storm 18. We got Blue Sun. This should do it. Their night is going to be huge. At some point, they could have gotten Bajuka Bog, and they just didn't. Woot woot. Green, white, depths. Alright, so these flusters are coming out. We don't want those. I think I probably want Force Negation for Deafening Silence. Maybe these Thing in the Ice as well. Bouncing Merit Lodge with Thing in the Ice is kind of like living the dream. Okay, so we have one card to take out. Maybe I'm just not supposed to board in the Force Negation. Sure, let's try this. This seems decent. I'll try it. No force, but, 2 mana Thing in the Ice. We have a couple AKs. Interesting. Ooh, I love the island draw there because it incentivized me to hold the Brainstorm, and now I get to keep my fetch as well. Sure. I don't think I need those. think I'm just going to pass here. All right, so this is going to incentivize them to go get Dark Depths with this knight. And the reason I'm doing this is that I want this AK to be for 3. It's on their own end steps. I'm not really sure what they're doing here. um, Turnbout's just the most expensive card in the hand for what it does. So I think they would need something like Silence to beat us at this point. Okay, that's certainly a thing. I wasn't really thinking about Mindbreak Trap, to be honest, but it makes sense. So they can get Bajuka Bog with this. So maybe I should have kept Force off that Brainstorm. Ooh, you chose Step? Let's see what we can do. Okay. Here's some options here. Definitely putting the land to the graveyard. And now I think we're going to bring back AK. Okay. Hey, so we went 2-3. How about that? So this was the list. I think the main deck is okay. I liked the change to the mana base. Like you saw in a number of matches where Ryan submitted double Mystic Sanctuary where we didn't even want the one. So I think this was a positive change in the mana base. I do think that the deck probably wants 4 copies of Impulse. How you fit them in is not up to me. That said, I did add in a second turnabout. I am now thinking that's not correct. Due to mission briefing, I think that reset in 1 turnabout's probably fine. So that's one way to get 1 more impulse in. After that, I'm not sure. It's up to you. The deck really wants to find 1 more. I remember back in the day, a lot of us ran 18 lands. So maybe you could shave a land and add in the 4th impulse. I don't know if that land is Mystic Sanctuary or if it's just a fetch. You probably want 8 islands, so I think you probably shave a fetch for the 4th impulse. So those would be my recommendations. You just really want 4 impulse because this deck is kind of bad when you don't draw high tide. So impulse is the best card for digging for tide. Therefore, you should just play the most you can. So that's what I would do to the main deck. So -1 fetch, and what was the other thing I suggested? -1 turnabout plus 2 impulse. In the board, thinking the ice was cute. I think I'd rather just see more Echoing Truth style effects. I wouldn't run the rebuild, repeal sort of stuff, and I don't like Chain of Vapor. The reason I don't want Chain of Vapor is people are likely going to Chalice 1 us, and Echoing Truth just cleans up a lot of that on its own. So I think I'd want to see a few more copies of Echoing Truth. You could probably split like another Hercules if you want, so that way you have a generic card in your deck that just is a catch-all against the prison decks. Yeah. I also wonder if you want like another Fluster in the board, so that way you can board up to 4 if you want. It's just a thought. We obviously didn't face any graveyard decks, so these Surgicals weren't that great. I'd still play them for what it's worth. Ryan, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry that I only went 2-3. But I had a lot of fun playing this. It definitely made me feel like we were playing some 2004-7 Magic. Unfortunately, we did see the downside of playing a 2006 deck in 2021 with Hull Breachers and Narsets and that sort of stuff. Got lucky we didn't see any Deafening Silence. That this deck is definitely weak to that. Thing in the Ice helps there, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, comments, etc., make sure to leave them below. If you want to support this channel, make sure to go to theepicstorm.com/shop. And you can always submit your own donation deck. Make sure to do that. Yeah, so thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Hey, Bryant Cook here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, but also follow the social media channels down below. If you want to support this content directly, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/shop. And if you need a little bit of assistance with the Epic Storm to get to that next level, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/tutoring. Don't worry, there's more great content coming right up.